Okay, so now your milk is ready. Going to turn this. Just brought it out from the fire. It has boiled. That is the pasteurization stage, which is the first stage. So we are done. Now I'm going to mix this, properly mix this. You have to actually mix this before you go to the next stage, even if your milk is okay. So we're going to be turning this when we bring it down from the fire, and we're going to make sure that everything is mixed properly. Even if your milk gets burnt or is not burnt, you make sure that you properly mix this before we move on to the next stage. So the next stage is sieving. That is why we need our sieve. And normally I like to double sieve. Double sieving means sieving it 2 times. I just like to double sieve, so I'm actually rest assured I don't have any kind of particles in my yogurt, which I don't like. I like a smooth yogurt. Everyone likes a smooth yogurt. So I would advise that you actually double sieve. You put a smaller sieve inside a bigger sieve and put over a clean bowl. So that's what I'm doing here. So we'll take our mixed milk and pour it over the sieves. You can see how creamy the milk is. This is how creamy your yogurt is going to be, as long as you are doing the extra thick yogurt. The more the milk, the creamier your yogurt is going to be. Okay, so we're going to gently turn this. I like to do this because I don't like to waste the milk. So I actually make sure that all my milk, sorry, it's not your yogurt, all my milk are down the sieve. So you see the particles that you actually find from your milk. You don't really want this in your yogurt. That is why we sieve. Okay, so now we're going to leave this, and we have our hot milk here. We're going to whisk. Whisking it just to get an even temperature, like just whisk it, and then we're going to let this rest for about 45 minutes, 30-45 minutes. I prefer 45 minutes because I want my milk to be properly cooled down. You don't want to put your starter in this milk. Like I said in the material, the do's and don'ts, do not put your starter in a hot milk. It's not going to ferment. The hotness of the milk will kill the bacteria. So we are going to allow this to rest for about 45 minutes, and then when it cools down, we are going to move to the next stage. So we're going to leave this to rest for 45 minutes. Okay, so now the milk has cooled down after 30 minutes, and this is what we have here. Normally when the milk cools down, it forms a skin at the surface of the milk, so I prefer to receive again after my milk has cooled down, so I can get rid of the skin. But before I do, I am going to whisk the sides, so the milk coagulated at the sides would mix together, and then I would sieve off my milk. Normally you can remove it with your whisk like this, but I just prefer sieving everything off to be sure that I don't have smaller particles and everything. So I'm going to whisk this very well before I receive again, in case there are skins formed here inside. time I'm using only one sieve, I'm not double sieving. Okay, so I've sieved my milk here, and I have particles here. So this is what I was scared of, and this is why I always sieve after my milk cools down. So I would use my whisk and my milk. So now my milk is warm. How to know your milk is ready for you to put your starter? You actually carry your milk and put it at the back of your hand. If it's warm, it's not hot, then you know your milk is ready for the culture. So remember, I told you in the do's and don'ts, don't add a cold culture to your milk. It won't ferment, rather let it be lukewarm temperature. So our farm fresh unsweetened yogurt is lukewarm temperature, and I'm going to measure out 4 tablespoons of this into my milk. Don't put more than 4 tablespoons, because we don't want to crowd the bacteria, which will lead to a thin yogurt, and sometimes it causes it to have a bitter taste. So that's it, about 4 tablespoons. And don't use sweetened yogurt. I told you using the do's and don'ts, don't use sweetened yogurt too. It will not ferment because of the sugar inside. Rather get plain yogurt or Greek yogurt with live culture in it. So now we are going to mix this and mix it properly to make sure that our starter is properly mixed in the milk. We don't want any lumps. The reason why we always mix in intervals is so we don't have lumps in our yogurt. We want a smooth, creamy and clear yogurt after fermentation.